It's already a major winter storm, and by morning, it's expected to be a full-fledged blizzard. It's a storm bringing huge amounts of snow, creating dangerous travel conditions, and it's nowhere near done. We're on your side tonight, from the roads to the coast to our mobile weather lab. We have team coverage across the state. And we begin tonight with Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti tracking what's happening now and what happens next.
Well, Greg, those snowfall totals are really starting to ramp up. A lot of communities are reporting over a half foot of snow already in Bridgeton, in Sebago, Alfred. We have 7 inches of snow, 6 inches in Sebago, and 7 in Bridgeton. Saco has 8 inches of snow already. We've been reporting quarter-mile visibility at the jetport now for 6 consecutive hours. That's heavy snow, and the wind really hasn't even started to pick up yet. Let's get a little bit closer. I'll show you where we have our heaviest rounds of snow over southern zones of moderate snowfall down in York County. Notice those darker shades of blue. It's been kind of hanging out in the greater Portland area over the last several hours. Notice this one just over northern Androscoggin County towards Turner and Green, just south of the Route 2 area, Paris, Norway Hills, Oxford Hills, I should say, and also some heavier bands back towards Freiburg, Brownfield, and the Mount Washington Valley there in North Conway. And more heavy bands are expected. Winter storm warnings remain in effect until actually 7 p.m. on Monday. Blizzard warnings remain in effect for mid-coast and down East Maine, just due to the fact that we're going to have our strongest winds there. Most towns will pick up about 16 to 24 inches of snow out of this into and through the day tomorrow. 1 to 2 feet of snow for most towns, gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour, but that's not until Monday. The winds will really start to pick up probably between 4 and 7 a.m. with our peak wind gusts late morning on Monday. So that's going to lead to blizzard conditions, the combination of the heavy snow and the wind. The good news is that wind will start to, or the snow will start to relax during the second part of the day on Monday. Here we are, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or 1 o'clock, actually midnight tonight. We'll take you to 1 o'clock in a moment. We have some heavy snow continuing out there tonight. That should extend to the morning hours. The back edge trying to make some headway off to the east here, and looking at some of the newest information we have in the weather office, it looks as if maybe the storm takes a jog 20 miles to the east, a little farther east than we originally anticipated. But regardless, we're still going to get a lot more snow, and notice how we're starting to see some improvement very late in the day. Let's talk winds for a moment. Winds are gusting 20, 25 miles per hour currently. As we go into the overnight, more so early tomorrow, they ramp up, gusting to 35 miles per hour. That's 7 a.m. Let's take it now to about 11 a.m. That's 54 miles per hour. This is some serious wind, and power outages look to be an issue as we head into and through the day tomorrow. So the snow and the wind combination will produce blizzard conditions and the potential for some power outages here. There's actually a chance for another storm. We're going to talk a little more about that coming up in just a little bit. But in the near term, Greg, more snow overnight. A lot of towns seeing already half foot up to 9 inches of snow in some spots, and we can at least double that and add on a few more heading into the morning hours tomorrow. Exactly. The wind really kicks in tomorrow morning, so that becomes the bigger issue by morning, I think.
All right, and of course we'll be right here tracking it all night long and into tomorrow. Yep. Hey, another impact we've been tracking from this storm, coastal flooding, especially the high tide that's coming up a little after midnight tonight, so that risk is going up as we speak. Let's go live to Biddeford Pool right now, and Fox 23's Dan McCarthy. Dan, of course, this is an ocean storm, and it sure looks like it where you are right now.
Absolutely, Greg. Take a look at the wind as this precipitation is just shooting parallel to the ground right now. This sign is struggling to stand here, and you can see what's stuck below it, ice. That's a lot of what's coming in right now as we take a look at the snowfall. It's a lot more coarse than what you might see inland. Just a lot of ice and snow mix blowing inland right now. Obviously, the wind's a lot stronger out here than what you might see as you get into the Portland area and, of course, further within the state. But these winds will be somewhat similar to what Charlie and Adam are projecting in these blizzard temperatures and blizzard snowfall that's going to be moving in tomorrow morning. So we're keeping track of these heavy winds as they continue to gust. Just take another look at this sign. It is incredible to see just how heavy these gusts are right now from this winter storm as it continues here. But we'll keep you posted out here and bring some more totals. Again, the Biddeford area, in the Biddeford Pool area in particular, there's not a lot of people living here right now. They're vacation homes here, but within the town of Biddeford, they've all been reporting that a lot of authorities have asked them to stay home, do not travel in this weather. And I think you can understand why, seeing these heavy wind gusts and precipitation as it continues to push through the state. So we're live in Biddeford tonight. Dan McCarthy, Fox 23 News at 10.
Great advice, Dan. And look at this. Speaking of travel, a tractor trailer jackknifed today. This happened on I-295 in Portland earlier this afternoon, and according to the driver, the slick roads were a factor. It partially shut down the southbound lanes on Tukey's Bridge for several hours. That truck even hopped the Jersey barrier, blocking the bridge's pedestrian lane. That's part of the Back Cove Trail. Police say the driver told them that 2 cars in front of him had suddenly slowed down. He just couldn't slow down quickly enough on those slick roads, and he says he crashed trying to avoid hitting them. That tanker is a heating oil truck, but thankfully it was empty at the time, so no spill.
Fox 23's Weather Authority 1, sponsored by O'Connor Chevrolet.
Again, that crash happening mid-afternoon. The roads have gotten much worse since then, and Weather Authority 1 is rolling through it right now. Fox 23 meteorologist Adam Epstein is live getting some real-time conditions from the roads for us. Tell us where you are, Adam, right now and what you're seeing there.
Well, Greg, we're traveling on I-295 heading north towards Freeport. I can tell you one thing for sure. I do not envy Dan McCarthy. This is what we're dealing with right now. The roads are completely covered in snow. There's a car passing us going pretty fast. And now, Jim, how fast are we going right now?
35.
We're going 35, and the speed limit has been reduced to 45. And if anything, you should go below that 45. This guy's going ahead of us. He passed us. Looks pretty dangerous to be out here right now. You cannot see any markers on the roads because it is just completely coated in snow. Let me show you on the radar exactly where we are here. This blue dot that showed up, it's actually, we're in a little bit of a lull in between those heavy snow bands. And the snow is continuing to fall, though, despite being in this lull. It's still very, very dangerous to be out on the roads right now. Take you back to the roads to show you what we're dealing with. You can't see the lines. It's very easy to slip and slide. Fortunately, a lot of people have been listening to the news and listening to our weathercast and have been staying home, and that's probably the best bet for tonight. If you do go outside, make sure you aren't going in any popular areas where cars might be, because walking on the sidewalks, that's a dangerous thing to do in itself because they're not plowed, so that means you have to walk in the streets, and cars may be sliding off towards the side of the streets. So please be careful when you're going outside, and the best thing to do is to stay indoors. We'll tell you what it looks like when we get to Freeport in just a few minutes. For now, we'll send it back to Portland to correspondent Alexa Meslowski. Alexa, how's it look by you?
Hi, Adam. We are just off Commercial Street in the Old Port in Portland. We actually were not able to park on the street because there is so much snow built up on the side of the roads. We're in this parking lot. If you take a look at this giant snowbank from them plowing this parking lot, Portland Public Works says that they have been preparing for this storm all day long, making sure that all of their trucks are ready to go for a long shift ahead. Plow trucks have been out on the roads since 3 o'clock today. At first, 28 units began plowing main streets, but at 10:30 tonight, they say the rest of their trucks will head out, totaling 40 vehicles. And this is when they're going to be able to plow those residential areas and side streets. They say the amount of snow coming down and the wind tonight adds an added challenge to the cleanup. I spoke with Mark Spiller, who is the winter coordinator at Portland Public Works, and he says for those who are planning on driving tonight, think again.
Cars stuck tonight, but they should stay home and prepare for the storm. We're going to be pushing back the snow quite a bit, so get the shovels ready. In a couple of days, I guess it might be another 6+ inches, so sort of close to maybe 2015 when we dealt with that type of snow.
He also tells me that the crews that are coming in tonight for that 10:30 shift, they'll stay on until about 3 o'clock tomorrow. So they're in for quite a long night ahead and even morning ahead. We'll send it back inside to our studios in Portland. Greg?
All right, Alexa, be safe. It is going to be a long night, that's for sure. Well, drivers on the turnpike quickly started slipping and sliding when the storm started to roll in. Shot some video there late this afternoon. Maine State Police say they did see a number of slide-offs, mostly hitting the guardrails or just into the grass. So fortunately, nothing too serious so far. Visibility did quickly plunge when that snow started. The turnpike took to Twitter even, warning drivers about what Adam was talking about, those reduced speed limits, 45 miles per hour on the turnpike. Now, despite the conditions, some drivers were still venturing out.
Yeah, because we're going right into the storm now, so. But we'll just take it slow and go. We're going on main road, so we should be okay.
No, totally used to it. It's just terrible out. There's ice underneath all the snow, so it's really bad.
State Police say they do have extra units out there tonight, but they would still rather have you stay off those roads and stay safe inside. Well, if you think you're flying out of the jetport anytime soon, think again. I want to show you a live look at the Portland Jetport's website right now. As you can see down the side there, about in the middle, the status pretty much canceled all night. In fact, been canceled since about 5 o'clock this evening. The same situation for arrivals. Every flight coming into or out of the Portland Jetport grounded tonight with impacts into tomorrow morning as well. So check ahead if you're trying to fly. About the only mode of transportation that was virtually unaffected by this storm so far, train travel. The Downeaster passenger train between Boston and Portland ran pretty much as normal today. In fact, by earlier this evening, it was about the only safe way to get to Boston. As for the bus lines, there are only a few buses scheduled out tonight, and those are only going northbound. And all Metro buses, they're going to be closed tomorrow as well. We talked to one young woman who just got back home here to Maine from Alaska, where she'd been visiting family members. Rebecca Shapiro told us she was ready to be safely home tonight.
Journey, talk about it a bit.
I started in Alaska and was visiting my sister, and I went from Alaska to Denver to Boston, and it took 3 hours getting here. So about 24 hours total.
So from Alaska to Denver to Portland, who's got the worst weather?
Right now we do. Yes, it's definitely a lot worse. It was an intense ride back.
Is it good to be back home?
Yes, I'm very tired though.
Well, the Casco Bay Ferry Line also running pretty much normally right now, but that could easily change by morning when the winds are expected to ramp up, possibly even topping tropical storm strength at times by morning. Fox 23's Brad Rogers has been on the move for us tonight. He's been riding the ferries as well, getting a first-hand look at the conditions on Casco Bay. Brad, how was the ride out there tonight on the ferry?
You know, actually it was very smooth. I will say, though, the visibility was pretty bad out there, about a quarter mile, and you had to squint to see some of the lights out there once you got out in the bay itself. Of course, tonight the Casco Bay Ferry Line is already closed. They've had their last runs tonight. However, as you say, we did take that right out to Peaks Island and back this evening. Take a look. The wind was about 15 to 20 miles an hour, and the seas inside Casco Bay were really pretty mild. So when you get past the islands, the seas are getting a lot rougher tonight. Now, not a lot of passengers on board tonight. Some were having a beer at a local pub and we're heading back home out on Peaks Island. Now, for tomorrow, the ferry service is really up in the air, as you say. The wind is supposed to kick up tomorrow, which could bring ferry service to a standstill.
It's not too bad right now. It's forecast to get really bad tomorrow, so we'll take it while we can get it. It's blowing out of the east.
So tomorrow, what do you be looking at? Would you possibly have to shut down?
Yes, we probably will, because the wind's forecast to be steady over 30, and that's our limit.
It's actually not bad. It could be a lot worse. If ferry trip tomorrow may be a different story.
Oh, how come?
Once the winds get to over 30 miles an hour, then the ferry could stop. And then you could actually get trapped on the island.
So we'll be watching for those winds tomorrow. Captain John there, he told me that he thinks they'll get some runs in the morning, and then probably we'll have to resume service later that evening. It's that middle part of the day when he thinks the winds are going to be at its highest, and you know that over 30 miles an hour will be something we'll be watching for tomorrow. We are live in downtown Portland. Brad Rogers, Fox 23 News. Back to you.
Yeah, island residents know to hunker down when the storm hits, Brad. All right, thanks. Well, that storm is well underway in Maine. Charlie's tracking it. Charlie, we have a lot more storm to get through as well.
That's right, Greg. A lot of towns have about 6, 7, 8 inches of snow on the ground so far. There will be spots that get over 16, 17, maybe as much as 2 feet of snow before it's all said and done. And the wind really hasn't even started to pick up. How much is on the ground right now? How much more we're going to get? And we'll talk a lot more about the wind coming up next.
We also have viewer pictures coming in today as well. A lot of great ones as well. Love to see them. You, of course, can check those out on our page on Facebook. We'd love to see more as well. You're watching Fox 23 News at 10.
Now, your Fox 23 Weather Authority forecast with Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We've had heavy snowfall in the greater Portland area for the last 6 hours now, reduced visibility down to a quarter of a mile. And it's going to stay that way overnight and into the morning tomorrow. Eventually, that snow will release its grip on us during the afternoon. And tomorrow is going to be a windy day from beginning to end. Some of the snowfall totals coming in from CBS 13 and Fox 23 weather watchers here. We have a lot of communities coming in around 6, 7, 8 inches of snow. Not on the map here. We have Dayton about 7 inches here. Lisbon's coming in with 5. And in Woolwich about 7 inches of snow. Westport Island 6.5 inches of snow. A lot of 8s from Kennebunk over to Old Orchard Beach. Naples coming in with 8 as well. Close to 8 there in Biddeford. Saco region, Bridgeton at 8, Yarmouth coming in at 6 inches of snow. Thanks to all the weather watchers who send in their reports. We are tracking that heavy snowfall for pretty much the entire area. Notice back in New Hampshire it's lightening up a little bit, but we're going to continue to have that heavy snow for not only tonight but into the day tomorrow. Quick little scan around the region. Notice there's a solid band of snow indicating some heavier rounds right here, right through the greater Portland area up to Yarmouth, Cumberland, Freeport. And there's another one that's straddling Androscoggin County over towards Turner, Greene, Livermore perhaps. You can see that one that extends right up to the Augusta region. And actually this one extends just south of Route 2 and also back into the Mount Washington Valley. So some hefty snowfall totals there. Winter storm warnings remain in effect. Areas in the pink, blizzard warnings areas in the red here. That includes mid-coast Maine and down east Maine. What constitutes blizzard warnings? Well, you need to have visibility reduced a quarter mile or less due to falling or blowing snow. Winds 35 miles per hour or greater, sustained or gusting, need to happen for 3 hours or more, and this is our best chance for seeing that. There is the potential that the Weather Service would expand that into southern parts of Maine. That's something to watch tomorrow, but for now we just have winter storm warnings there through 7 p.m. There's the avalanche warning that remains in effect for the Mount Washington Avalanche Center up towards Mount Washington there on the east side of the mountain for Huntington and also Tuckerman Ravine. We have a coastal flood advisory for the high tides. We saw Dan over there in Biddeford. Well, yes, the high tide is coming at 12:30 tonight, so minor flooding, beach erosion, and splashover is expected there. So a general 1 to 2 feet of snow. No real changes here. 16 to 24 inches for most towns. I think we're going to see gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour, but that's not tonight. That really ramps up, I would say, around 4 to 7 a.m. tomorrow, and it's windy all day long. While it's still snowing, we're going to have blizzard conditions tomorrow. So morning hours, that's our best chance for seeing that combination of the strong winds and the heavy snow. Let's just take a look. I was looking at this webcam in Portland. This is the only one I could find that's really lit up really well. Notice those guardrails. They're starting to disappear right there, but no question we're seeing snow-covered roads, and it's going to stay that way. The little coastal front's been trying to set up. Look at Cape Elizabeth, 32. Compare that to Portland, 10 degrees colder. Also down to Biddeford, where Dan was. He was talking about some of that sleet, and the consistency of the snow is a little wetter. Compare that to areas like Buxton, not that far inland here. Sanford, we're in the upper teens and low 20s. This coastal front's kind of playing games down in Kittery as well. Notice New Harbor at 32 degrees. Most areas are in the teens and 20s. Areas that are currently in the low 30s, well, it's going to cool off thanks to a stiff northerly wind developing tonight. This is about midnight. Seems to be lining up with what we have on the radar. Notice some 30s mixed in there. That will disappear by morning. Notice we have the snow continuing, 7 a.m. Back edge is trying to make some headway across the area during the afternoon. So it's not going to, I don't think it's just going to end like that. It will just lighten up first during the afternoon and eventually come to an end during the mid to probably late afternoon tomorrow. But our strongest winds and still some moderate to at times heavy snow will be with us very early on Monday. We're talking anywhere from 4 a.m. to about maybe 11 a.m., somewhere in there. Another storm is possible here. So in addition to this storm, we're talking about a storm Wednesday into Thursday. This next storm system looks a little warmer, so we might actually start with a little bit of rain, but transition back to snow at some point late Wednesday, more so Wednesday night and into Thursday morning. A lot of question marks with that one still, but I just want to throw that one out there that is something we will be monitoring as well. We'll take it one storm at a time, with this one bringing copious amounts of snow into the morning hours. Most towns coming in between 6 and 8 inches of snow already. We'll end between 16 and 24, I think, right around midday tomorrow. By Tuesday, some sun returns. There's that rain changing to snow and heavy snowfall on Wednesdays, probably Wednesday night into early Thursday. We'll end with some light snow that day. And Greg, it actually looks a little quieter around here for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's been an incredible stretch, though, hasn't it? Starting last Tuesday storm, we had a Thursday storm, a Saturday storm, a Sunday, Monday storm, and now a Wednesday and Thursday storm.
Kids are going to be going to school until mid-June, late June at this rate,
Yes.
July.
Yeah, we don't like to see that.
No.
But yeah, hopefully things will quiet down. But no question, this is probably the biggest storm that we've had this season.
Feels like it.
Kind of close to that December 29th, 30th storm. But the winds become a very big issue tomorrow, with power outages certainly a possibility.
All right, we'll come back to you in just a few minutes as well, Charlie. Thanks. Hey, there's no better time than right now to get the WGME weather app. It gives you weather alerts right there on your phone. It also lets you track the storm right down to your neighborhood using our interactive radar. The app is free. It's easy to find. Just search WGME WX in your app store. And a reminder, you can get that information on our website as well, along with the latest closings and cancellations and parking bans. Here's a live look at our website right now, in fact. Make sure you head to fox23maine.com so you don't get left in the cold tomorrow morning. Coming up, multiple snowmobile crashes on one New Hampshire lake, what they were doing there, and why the conditions may have fooled them with tragic consequences. And kidnapped at gunpoint in his own home in Vassalboro. Coming up, how a family and a community are rallying to support the victim in a case that ended with 2 suspects dead.
You're watching Fox 23 News at 10.
2 suspects are shot dead by police after authorities say one of them robbed and tied up a man for hours and then rammed a state police cruiser in the man's stolen truck. Police say 25-year-old Kadar Bailey of Gardner robbed and tied up 57-year-old Dickie Brown of Vassalboro for several hours Friday night before Bailey and 18-year-old Ambrosia Fager of Oakland were shot by police as they fled in Brown's stolen truck. Bailey died there on the scene while Fager died in the hospital. And the man who was robbed is a well-known member of the Vassalboro community and a member of the Maine Golf Hall of Fame. I spoke with his son Taylor Brown today, seen in this photo on the right, his father on the left. He says his father is getting an outpouring of support right now after an ordeal in which he thought he might die.
You know, my dad just didn't know what to think, what was going to happen. He just was trying to do whatever the guy wanted so that he wouldn't kill him. He was really afraid that he was going to shoot him. We just keep thinking, that it just proves that, you just never know what's going to happen. And, you just got to appreciate life more. That's the message we're taking away from it.
Thankfully, he is going to be okay. No problems there. In the meantime, the 3 officers involved in Friday night's event are on paid administrative leave while the Attorney General's office investigates, and is standard following a police-involved shooting in Maine. 3 people are dead after plunging into the icy Lake Winnipesaukee in 2 separate accidents. Both of them happened Saturday. In Alton, a 15-year-old boy and his father crashed through thin ice there on their snowmobiles. They were taking part in the annual ice fishing derby there. The father made it out. He was treated for hypothermia. The son, he was missing all Saturday. Rescuers pulled his body from the lake this morning. And in Moultonboro, 2 Massachusetts men also died after driving their snowmobiles onto open water. A 3rd person was with them. He managed to get back to shore. Witnesses say some sections look like ice until you're right on top of them.
Yesterday it was all water. The whole thing was water. And it's not even ice. It's just slush with snow on top.
Authorities urge everyone to check conditions and to use extreme caution before venturing out. Leaders in Washington are taking a hard look right now at some of the banking rules put in place after the 2008 housing crisis and financial meltdown. Today, President Trump and many Republicans in Congress say those rules went too far. They want to change them. Our national correspondent Christine Frizzell has more.
It was a bleak time in U.S. history. The 2008 financial collapse meant millions lost their homes. Many approved for loans they could never afford in the first place. The aftermath brought about Dodd-Frank, legislation sponsored by Senator Chris Dodd and Congressman Barney Frank, which, among other things, increased oversight and regulations on banks. Fast forward to now, and critics on Capitol Hill say it went too far.
It's just overregulation of our financial system, especially our small and medium-sized banks.
They have multiple entities now that are overseeing them now. They have individuals that are actually monitoring every single loan or telling them they can't make loans. It's becoming more and more difficult for small businesses to get started.
And President Trump agrees.
Today we're assigning core principles for regulating the United States financial system.
Signing a series of executive orders rolling back regulations laid out in Dodd-Frank.
The Dodd-Frank Act is a disastrous policy that's hindering our markets, reducing the availability of credit, and crippling our economy's ability to grow and create jobs.
But what some call overregulation, others call protection, with House Democrats waging war on Capitol Hill this week over the prospect of repealing Dodd-Frank.
Millions of Americans lost their jobs, their homes, their savings. Many families and communities still bear the scars. The president wants to take us right back to that crisis.
When push comes to shove, Donald Trump will always put the interest of his pals on Wall Street over the interests of the American people.
A familiar echo of an old debate, pitting Main Street against Wall Street, with many in Congress taking a look at just how much of a role government should play. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
Coming up, shop until the snow drops. The essential items flying off the store shelves today as the flakes began to fly.
And the snow is coming down and plow trucks are hard at work tonight. I spoke with Portland Public Works on their cleanup efforts and why they're sending even more plow trucks out on the roads.
And before we go to break, let's take a look at some more of your viewer picks out there from this major winter storm.
Now, Fox 23 News is on your side at 10.
A winter storm warning for tonight and a blizzard warning for tomorrow morning in effect for many parts of the state right now. You're looking live at our Lewiston Skycam, where you can see a lot of snow starting to blanket the city. Now let's compare that to the Portland Skycam, where the snow is making it even more difficult to see the ground there. But you can see everything really just covered in white at this point, the wind blowing things around too. And if you think this is bad right now, well, it's going to get a lot worse likely by morning between the snow piling up and those winds expected to ramp up. Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti is tracking all of that for us tonight. Charlie, we are expecting up to 2 feet of snow possible in some places.
That's right. I think most towns get between 16 and 24 inches of snow here, Greg. Most communities are coming in with a little bit more than a half foot already, about 6 to 8 inches, and it's really showing no signs of letting up. It's a moderate to heavy snowfall for all of southern, central Maine, mid-coast Maine. Notice some of the darker shades of blue near Brunswick back into the Casco Bay area, just north of the Augusta, Waterville area. We're seeing some hefty bands of snow there as well. And this extends back towards the Route 2 corridor and also down towards Route 302. There's Bridgeton, Naples, Casco. So it's snowing at a great clip for just about everyone. I do want to draw your attention to where there's a little coastal front setting up. This has been interesting to watch. Notice Portland's 22. Cape Elizabeth is 32. Just got a report of rain mixing with the snow down in Cape Elizabeth. And down where we saw Dan in Biddeford, there's a little bit of rain mixing in there as well. I just got a report down in York of all rain. So they switched over to rain. They'll change back over to snow tonight as temperatures cool. But look at this. You had only a few miles inland. We're talking about temperatures in the low 20s, even some upper teens. Notice New Harbor right now at about 32 degrees there as well. Now, air temperatures mostly are running in the teens farther inland. I think most towns will pick up about 16 to 24 inches of snow before it's all said and done here. This includes all southern, central Maine. Now, the wind really doesn't pick up until tomorrow morning. That's probably around 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And for the entire day, we're going to get gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour. Some towns, especially near Penobscot Bay, may even gusts upwards over 50 miles per hour. So the real concern tomorrow, I think, will be the potential for power outages into and through our Monday. Let's take a quick look at how this is all going to play out as far as the timing goes. This is midnight. Seems to be lining up pretty well with what we have on radar. Notice Storm Tracker takes us through about 6 o'clock in the morning. Notice some heavy bands of snow right in here through the morning hours. And then the back edge is trying to make some headway off to the east. You see it right in here into the White Mountains of New Hampshire, western mountains of Maine. And eventually we'll see it release its grip on us with a clearing sky through the overnight hours tomorrow night. Quick look at winds for you here. Notice we're starting with temps with winds 20, 25 miles per hour. By 7 a.m. we're gusting to 30, 35 miles per hour. Closer to down east Maine and mid-coast Maine, we could see wind gusts exceed 50 miles per hour, and that extends through the midday and heading into the afternoon hours. But for more what's happening outside, I think we're going to head it outside right now. Oh, no, we're not going to send it outside right now. Let's take a look at... All right, we are going to send it outside right now. We'll send it over to Dan, I believe, who is Adam, who is live in Weather Authority 1. Adam, how's it looking out there?
Fox 23's Weather Authority 1, sponsored by O'Connor Chevrolet.
Charlie, thank you very much. I'm out here in Freeport, right next to Weather Authority 1. I've been cruising with this with my photographer right behind the scenes, Jim Baum, all night, showing the road conditions. They're not great, but we stopped here in Freeport to give Freeport a forecast. This one's right for you. It's from this right here. This is our very own weather station, and right on top of it, you may be able to see these black prongs. There's 4 of them. They send pulses across to each other, and with those pulses, if the wind goes with them, it gets there faster. If it goes against them, it gets there slower. And that's how it calculates wind speed and direction. So right here in Freeport, you're seeing temperatures near 22 degrees. It's cold outside, and currently I'm feeling a gust right now, 15 miles per hour. It just dropped down to 10. This updates instantly. On a 3-second average, it's around 10 miles per hour, and that makes the wind chill feel pretty cold. The wind chill's 13 degrees. And it doesn't look like this snow is showing any sign of stopping as it continues to fill in throughout central and southern Maine. It looks like Freeport could end up with 20 inches of snow right around that mark. And come with me right over here. We'll go to some untouched snow and we'll try and measure it out. So this is my handy yardstick. And this gets me right to about 11 inches of snow so far. 11 inches so far since this storm started, and it's just continued to pick up, and the winds will pick up as well, making for very dangerous travel conditions with low visibility, and it just doesn't feel great to be outside. I'm pretty cold. I feel what Dan McCarthy was feeling earlier. Now I'm going to send it down to Portland to Alexa Maslowski. Alexa, how are conditions looking by you?
Hi, Adam. Those at Portland Public Works that I spoke with today compared the amount of snow we're getting at the rate we're getting it to the winter of 2015. We're actually just off Commercial Street in the Old Port, and we couldn't park on the street because of the amount of snow built up on the sides of the roads. Here tonight, Public Works officials say they have been preparing for this storm all day long, making sure that all the trucks are ready for the long shift that they have ahead. Plow trucks have been out on the roads since 3 o'clock today. At first, just 28 units began plowing the main streets, but at 10:30 tonight, the rest of their trucks headed out, totaling 40 vehicles, which will now allow them to plow side streets and residential areas. They say the crews that come on tonight will stay on the roads until 3 p.m. tomorrow, so that is a very long shift. I spoke with Mark Spiller of Portland Public Works earlier, and he said this particular storm has its challenges.
Forecasters saying the wind is going to be challenging, and the 1 inch per hour is going to be challenging to the crews and trucks.
He also added that if you are thinking of driving in this tonight, think again. He has seen a lot of trucks or cars spin out or stuck in the snow here this evening, so really just think twice before you're going to head out on the roads tonight. We're live in Portland this evening. Alexa Maslowski, Fox 23 News at 10. We'll send it back inside.
All right, Alexa, good to see the roads mostly empty except for plow trucks. Well, whether they were stocking up on food or picking up an extra shovel, you may have noticed a lot of people out ahead of this storm. Fox 23's Dan Lamparello has more on the last-minute supplies that a lot of folks were busy grabbing.
The bread, milk, and eggs fly out.
Because they're talking 2 feet of snow, and I figure, well, I better get it now. Because if I don't, I'll probably regret it.
The aisles at Save-A-Lot are filled with storm essentials.
The necessary stuff to last 3 or 4 days, depending on how bad it is.
Many shoppers say they're getting out early before they can't get out at all.
Oh man, I wish I'd gotten it. Now I can't get to the store. Everything closed, we're snowed in.
Stocking up to stay put.
If you're smart, get the stuff ahead of time. Why play with it? Mother Nature can be pretty cruel.
From shovels to rock salt. People were stocking up on some different types of essentials today for when the flakes stop flying.
We get a bunch of storms back to back to back. Usually everybody comes in.
Clearing the snow can sometimes be a challenge.
I shoveled 2 days in a row. There was that first snow, then there was the second snow.
With 2 more feet expected, shoppers say they had to be prepared.
It's about time to actually have a real snow removal tool.
As the piles build up, many say they're ready for any amount.
I had to break down and get a snowblower last week, so yeah, I don't think we're through with the winter yet.
In Portland, Dan Lamparello, Fox 23 News at 10.
Up next, this nor'easter does continue to intensify, and Charlie, this one bringing a lot of snow and strong winds still ahead.
That's right. We're going to run down the latest conditions occurring outside tonight, when to expect those winds to pick up, of course, and how much more snow to expect. That's in the forecast coming up next.
And before we hit the break, getting some great pictures of this storm from many of our viewers, like this one and this one as well. Just some beautiful shots. Continue to send us more on social media as well, and we'll share them right here. You're watching Fox 23 News at 10.
Now, your Fox 23 Weather Authority forecast with Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We're still tracking some heavy snowfall across the area, and it's probably only going to pick up as we go through the overnight, and the wind will increase as well, and that's primarily during the morning hours on your Monday. Let's take a look at satellite radar composite here. It started snowing around 2 o'clock. It started off fairly light, picked up in intensity, and there have been some pretty robust bands of snow that have rotated through the area. In fact, about 2 hours ago, we had snowfall rates of about 2-3 inches per hour, and that's actually going to pick up again later tonight. So heavy snow is going to lead our headlines here. That's tonight through Monday morning. I think the snow continues through at least midday or early afternoon. So we still have many more inches of snow to go between now and then. Very windy, yes, that will be the story tomorrow. Strongest winds will be 4 a.m. through 7 p.m. So pretty much the entire day tomorrow it's going to be windy with gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour. So far we've had gusts around 20-25 miles per hour, but it's really going to ramp up into the day tomorrow. And another storm, that's a question mark. Yeah, I think there is at least potential for another storm midweek. It looks to be a snow and rain situation, and that will be on Wednesday heading into Thursday. And again, that one is looking a little bit warmer than the storm that we have in place right now. Let's take a little tour around the region. We have, well, we're starting up in the mountains here. Route 2, Route 302 actually, that extends through the Mount Washington Valley. Notice the Bridgeton's Casco area. We're seeing some moderate to heavy bands of snow there. Portland has been reporting quarter-mile visibility now for close to 7 hours. So here's Portland. There's Portland right there. Notice some heavier bands down towards South Portland, perhaps. This extends down to Cape Elizabeth and Scarborough. Just got a report of some rain mixing in down in Cape Elizabeth, and we've seen a changeover to rain down in York as well. The winter mosaic radar is not picking up on that very well here. We've seen some reports of some sleet and rain mixing in over towards Biddeford as well, but down towards York, they have seen a changeover to rain. They'll change back over to snow if they haven't already done so. Let's extend all the way back through Casco Bay. There's a solid band that extends now from Brunswick to Bath. This extends up through Westport Island and also Bristol, Damascotta. Look at that band up towards Augusta. Heavy bands of snow there up towards Sydney and Windsor, Manchester, Gardner, Richmond. They're in reduced visibility, probably down to quarter mile. Blizzard warnings for Knox County, Lincoln County, Saginaw County. This extends up into Waldo County. Down East Maine has that blizzard warning. It's the combination of the heavy snow, reducing visibility to a quarter of a mile or less, and some strong winds, 35 miles per hour or greater, that has prompted the Weather Service to issue this blizzard warning, and that's mostly for the morning hours tomorrow and extending through early afternoon. So not necessarily tonight. It's a winter storm warning for everyone else. We have a coastal flood advisory for the high tide at 12:25 a.m. Coastal flood advisory goes into effect at 12 a.m. and extends until 3 a.m. It's coastal Cumberland, coastal York, and coastal Rockingham County. So we're watching for beach erosion, splash over, and minor coastal flooding. So here's the storm. The first area of low pressure went right up in the Great Lakes. Now we're watching a more powerful storm strengthening rapidly. I mean, this thing is really starting to bomb out east of Cape Cod. Last check, it was just east of Nantucket, and that strengthening of the nor'easter pulls down a stiff northeast and northerly wind. As this continues to strengthen tomorrow and pulls away, we're going to see that wind, or experience that wind, really picking up out of the north. So it's going to be something to experience tomorrow. Most towns pick up that 16 to 24 inch snowfall total. I think there'll be a lot of areas in the upper end of that just because the snow is so fluffy. At the coastline, media coast, we've seen some rain. Yeah, definitely the lower end of that probably. But farther off to the north, those snowfall totals will drop off a little bit. Let's go through the timing now. Notice storm tracker seems to be lining up quite nicely with what we have on the radar. Those moderate to heavy bands are rolling on through here. Notice those. Wow, it's going to be snowing at a very heavy clip, we think, here between 3 a.m. and about 7 a.m. I mean, it's really going to be dumping here with temperatures cooling as well, thanks to the wind picking up out of the north. It's going to be something to see tomorrow morning. Here we are noontime, still snowing, and it's starting to lighten up a little bit, but it might take until mid-afternoon for the snow to become light and eventually move out of the area. We will see a clearing trend tomorrow night, and then we'll have some sunshine return on Tuesday. We're looking forward to that. But then there's another storm possible. That is Wednesday and into Thursday. And based on today's forecast, I think we're actually going to see some rain, especially at the coastline, farther inland. It's a wintry mix and snow. And the ingredients are there for a more substantial snow once again. The big question is, can we get it all come together at the right time? If we were to see copious amounts of snow or more significant snow, it would probably be Wednesday night and into Thursday. Still a lot of question marks with that, so just keep that one on the back burner for now. As far as the snow goes, and tonight's storm, I think, well, it continues. And in fact, it only gets heavier into early tomorrow. I think the snow will start to wind down during the afternoon, or at least become lighter. We should have temperatures returning to near 30 on Tuesday, with some sun returning as well. And it's a rain, wintry mix snow situation Wednesday, changing to all snow Wednesday night. Thursday will probably end with a period of light snow. And do I dare say we actually have a quiet stretch for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Don't want to jinx it just yet, but temperatures look seasonable. Notice that normal high of 33 degrees. We talked a little bit about the wind. We talked a little bit about the snow, and we haven't talked too much about the power outages, but at least the potential for that.
Right.
As those come together, Greg, with the winds gusting 40, 50 miles per hour, we're going to put the power outage potential in that likely category tomorrow morning.
Yeah, for the morning, right?
Yeah, so, and you might be looking outside saying, the winds are not too bad. It's going to pick up. So look out for power outages tomorrow morning.
I won't even think of Thursday yet. Monday's going to be bad enough.
Yeah, you know, the kids get another day off from school, at least a lot of them here, and we'll be able to dig out later in the day tomorrow and get at least a little bit of a break on Tuesday.
Hunker down in the meantime, folks.
You get it.
Well, still ahead here tonight, dealing with student debt, the drastic measures that some students are taking to get through college, and a painful week in the world of tennis. A look at some of the matches that had some strange events.
You're watching Fox 23 News at 10.
The cost of a degree at public universities has spiked over the past few decades, and the salaries for many graduates is too low really to make a dent in their student debt. That's forcing some students to take desperate measures. Cheryl Atkinson has more.
On college and university campuses around the country, it's a familiar complaint.
I think it's really sad that our country wants to charge like 18, 19, 20-year-olds $250,000 to be educated, better, good quality citizens.
The high cost of college is on the minds of a lot of students here at New York University, or NYU. It costs upwards of $60,000 a year to attend school here and live on campus.
You could say that NYU represents the avant-garde of everything that's wrong with U.S. higher education. They engage in a staggering range of tricks and tactics to squeeze as much cash as possible out of the student body.
Mark Crispin Miller is a professor of media culture and communication at NYU who leads a faculty group and co-authored a faculty report called The Art of the Gouge.
There are $10,000 to $20,000 worth of hidden fees at NYU, amounts of money that the students didn't realize they were going to have to come up with.
We wanted to hear NYU's views, but they declined to answer our questions. A spokesman emailed us a long list of steps they're taking to address affordability, including ensuring the lowest increase in cost of attendance, tuition, and fees in 20 years, lower than 25 closest competitors, and freezing room and board rates this year at last year's rates. But many students here and around the nation are struggling. Some female students are turning to a shocking alternative, a website called Seeking Arrangement, which hooks up young sugar babies with sugar daddies to help pay the high cost of college.
Jumpstarting your future begins with choosing the right education.
Brooke Urich is a spokesman for Seeking Arrangement. She says it's not prostitution, which is strictly a transactional process for sex. Instead, she says the dating website facilitates mutually beneficial relationships.
They're taking out a lot of loans, they're graduating with a ton of debt and walking into a job market they've oftentimes priced themselves out of. And meeting a sugar daddy is also a way to advance your career.
Times Higher Education magazine recently ranked NYU #1 for employability of its grads, but 78th in terms of salary earned after 10 years, $58,000. For Full Measure, I'm Cheryl Atkinson.
Tennis isn't exactly a contact sport, right? Well, not usually, but twice this week, players and umpires have been in the firing line. Jonathan Novak explains in our Love 30 segment, sponsored by the Tennis Channel.
It's been a really strange week in tennis. On Sunday, Canadian teenager Denis Shapovalov hit out in frustration after being broken in the deciding Davis Cup rubber against Great Britain. But instead of flying into the crowd, the ball struck umpire Arnaud Gabas square in the eye. Luckily, Gabas was okay, but Shapovalov was immediately defaulted, handing the Brits one of the strangest victories in Davis Cup history. Cut to the south of France a few days later, and defending champion Richard Gasquet is the latest advertisement for NFL style pads in tennis. The French star slips and takes one on the head. Like umpire Gabas, the world number 22 was fine, but maybe the ATP World Tour might want to think about a concussion protocol if this trend continues. I don't know. For Tennis Channel, I'm Jonathan Novak.
Well, we've been tracking the potential for a winter whiteout around here. You may not be able to tell with all the snow, but that is our Lewiston Skycam. The snow is going to be with us all night and in the morning. Charlie's back with what you can expect in the morning. That's a big deal. That's coming up after the break. Plus, we've been getting some great viewer pics of your perspective of the storm, including a lot of great pet shots as well. Keep them coming. We love to see them, especially that guy right there. You're watching Fox 23 News at 10.
You're watching Fox 23 News at 10.
Yeah, the storm has been picking up tonight, and it's only going to get worse as we head into morning. Let's get another look at this forecast with Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. This is quite a storm, Charlie.
It really is. The snow really piling up here, Greg. A lot of communities reporting between 5 and 8 inches of snow. There's a few updated Weather Watcher snowfall totals, close to 5 inches in Lewiston. North Sebago is up to 7. You got about 8 there in Berwick. Both Bath as well. Dayton coming in with about 7 inches of snow. Lisbon about 5 inches of snow. And it's piling up pretty quickly out there. We actually have our heaviest band still yet to come overnight tonight. Let's stop that Doppler HD and let's take a look at where we're seeing some of those heavy bands. I mean, look at the areas from southern Oxford County. This extends back through Berlin, Gorham, New Hampshire, down through the Conway region. It's a little bit lighter the farther south you go. In fact, we've had some reports of rain mixing in. In fact, a whole changeover to rain down in York. We've also had some rain over in Cape Elizabeth as well, also down towards Biddeford Pool, but I would imagine even on the west side of town, we're probably seeing all snow there. But it's a pretty solid band of snow that extends through Bath, Brunswick area. This extends farther north up into central Maine. It's coming down at a very good clip here. Snowfall rates generally about 1 to 2 inches per hour. So this is actually going to pick up a little bit overnight, and a lot of towns will pick up 16 to 24 inches of snow. So a general 1 to 2 feet of snow through about early afternoon tomorrow. So it's going to continue to snow for a long time here with gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour. Now you might be looking outside saying, you know, it's not very windy just yet. Well, hang in there. Tomorrow morning is going to be the windiest part of the forecast here. In fact, morning through afternoon. It's going to be windy all day long, even after it stops snowing. So blizzard conditions look likely, and power outages at this point, I would say, look likely as well. So Storm Tracker takes us through the overnight. Seems to be lining up pretty well with what we have on the radar right now. Notice a lot of communities here running in the 20s. There are some areas on the east side of the coastal front in the 30s now, but that's going to change with colder air moving in overnight. 6 a.m., heavy snowfall. There it is. By lunchtime, still moderate to heavy snow, and we can say goodbye to the snow during the afternoon tomorrow. So there it is. There is the potential for another storm to talk about as well. We're going to look at that coming up in our next weather segment in just a few minutes. So, Greg, no question about it. It is a big storm, and the worst is still yet to come as far as the heaviest snow. And the wind really hasn't even started yet either.
That's the worst part of this is, again, it's been bad enough tonight, but it's going to ramp up even more by morning.
That's the way it looks.
Something to watch.
Yeah, it's the combination of the snow and the wind that produces those blizzard or near blizzard conditions and power outages. I mean, they're going to start going up tomorrow as well, I think.
And you've noticed we've gone past 11 o'clock here tonight. We're going to continue with an extended edition of Fox 23 News at 10 tonight. And Charlie, we've been talking about all the viewer pics and videos we've been getting in from the storm. We want to show you this. Obviously, we'll be digging out by morning, but reminder to you that maybe we should think like horses and have some fun with this as well. This is video sent to us from Lori Drummond in Livermore Falls. She says her horse's name is Joy. And as you can see, she is definitely enjoying horsing around in this storm. So have some fun. Obviously, keep sharing your videos with us as well. And as we mentioned, this is a special extended edition of Fox 23 News at 10. We're going to continue with our coverage of the storm right after we take a short break.
23 News is on your side at 10.
A major winter storm is here and it's only intensifying, shutting down travel for most, creating dangerous conditions, and it's nowhere near done. By the time you wake up, in fact, in the morning, it's likely going to be a full-fledged blizzard. We're on your side to help keep you safe and informed, tracking the storm from beginning to end. From the impact on the roads to flooding concerns to the coast, our mobile weather lab is on the road as well, and much more. We have team coverage all across the state. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. Once again, Charlie, a lot of communities really getting some intense snowfall rates right now.
They are, Greg. A lot of towns have seen 1 to 3 inch snowfall rates, and it was about 2 hours ago we had a real intense band moving through the greater Portland area. That has since lightened up just a little bit, but it is still heavy snowfall with reduced visibility down to 1/4 mile out there in the Portland region. This extends up through Lewis and Auburn. Notice it's a little bit lighter the farther south you go down to York County, extending across portions of mid-coast Maine to Booth Bay Harbor region, Brunswick, Bath. Look at that intense band. It's not as intense anymore, but heading up into central Maine as well. We've seen a pretty solid band, a robust round of snow, if you will, right up towards the Augusta, Waterville area, and this extends actually to the west down into the Conway, Gorham, Berlin, New Hampshire area, into also the Sebago Lake region. We've actually had some reports of upwards of 8 inches of snow on the ground for a lot of towns here. Winter storm warnings remain in effect areas in the pink that extends through 7 a.m. tomorrow. Blizzard warnings remain in effect for mid-coast Maine and down east Maine. Now, what constitutes a blizzard? Well, there's actually a strict criteria for it. What you need is visibility reduced to 1/4 mile or less due to falling or blowing snow. You need 35-mile-per-hour winds due to sustained or gusting winds. You need it to happen for 3 hours or more. And the Weather Service suggests that in these areas, that's our best chance for seeing those blizzard conditions. So we'll watch that. We also have an avalanche warning, which is typical on Mount Washington, the east side of Huntington and Tuckerman Ravine from the Mount Washington Avalanche Center. They're expecting winds of hurricane force up on Mount Washington with up to 2 feet of snow. So avalanches are possible there. Coastal flood advisory for coastal York, Cumberland, Rockingham County for the high tide at 12:30 or 12:25 tonight. The coastal flood advisory goes into effect at 12 o'clock and should extend until 3 o'clock in the morning. So a general 1 to 2 feet of snow. In fact, a lot of towns will probably be on the upper end of that 1 to 2 feet, probably 16 to 24 for most communities. Snow starts to wind down during the early afternoon tomorrow, at least lighten up a little bit. Gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour will do it, but that's during the day tomorrow. Tonight, it's still not too windy. We're going to look more about the wind coming up in just a little bit and time it out for you. So it's the combination of the snow and the wind that produces blizzard conditions and also the potential for power outages here. So good news here is, we really haven't had much wind yet.
Right.
That's going to change by tomorrow morning, though.
And we haven't had many power outages. I think only just a scattering in a couple of places. But again, that's the risk. It could ramp up by morning.
That's what we're expecting. Yep.
All right, Charlie. Another impact that we've been talking about here, Charlie mentioned it, coastal flooding, especially around that time of high tide, a little more than an hour from right now. So that risk is going up as we speak. Let's go live to Biddeford Pool. Fox 23's Dan McCarthy. And Dan, as we've said, this really is an ocean storm. You were showing us earlier that sign whipping around. What is happening there around you right now?
Greg, as you can see, that wind has not subsided in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I think it's pretty safe to say that it has picked up here. Taking another look at the wind conditions as they blow through here, really the most we can show, and I apologize for that because it is so dark out here, is this sign, but I think that kind of tells the story as to how strong these winds are. Now, aside from the wind, the conditions aren't too bad. When you look at the snowfall, it's actually turned to a bit of slush. Taking a look at the roadway now, this is really what we've been seeing over the last hour. Just a lot of sloppy, wet slush on the ground, and that's made driving easier in the area. Plows have been going through here at Biddeford Pool. However, the suggestion remains, do not drive in this. I mean, the wind conditions suggest that alone. But beyond that, visibility is very poor right now. We can't see very far ahead of our own camera equipment. So it's leaving very treacherous conditions out here in Biddeford Pool. The wind continues to howl, and the waves, as Charlie mentioned, we're still an hour and a half away from high tide, but I can tell you right now, within the next hour and a half, we're going to see some splash over from these waters because they are getting very close to the snowbank that's beside me. So we're going to keep track of this and continue to keep you posted. We're live at Biddeford Pool tonight. Dan McCarthy, Fox 23 News at 10.
All right, Dan, you and your photographer be safe tonight. And look at this. This is a tractor-trailer truck that jackknifed along I-295 in Portland earlier this afternoon. And according to the driver, the slick roads were a factor in this. This partially did shut down the southbound lanes on Tukey's Bridge for several hours. That truck even hopped the Jersey barrier, blocking the bridge's pedestrian lane. That's actually part of the Back Cove Trail. Police say the driver told them the two cars in front of him had suddenly slowed down. He just couldn't slow down quickly enough himself on the slick roads, and he was crashed, he says, as he tried to avoid them. That tanker is a heating oil truck, but thankfully it was empty at the time, so no spill.
Fox 23's Weather Authority 1, sponsored by O'Connor Chevrolet.
Again, that crash happened this afternoon, mid-afternoon. The roads have gotten much, much worse since then. And Weather Authority 1 is rolling right through it. Fox 23 meteorologist Adam Epstein has been on the road, giving us live real-time conditions from out there. And Adam, again, where are you right now and what's happening there?
Greg, I am currently in Freeport, right in the LL Bean parking lot. My photographer, Jim Baum, and I have been cruising up and down the coast, and the conditions are pretty bad. Now, right here in Freeport, I'm going to give you a pinpoint forecast, and it's all courtesy of this guy. This is our very own weather station. It's mobile, and it's a thermometer, it's an anemometer, measures wind speeds, and it's even a rain gauge. The one thing it doesn't do, measure snow, but don't worry, we have you covered. Come right over here, and I'll show you the output of our weather station. This is everything it's measuring. Right in the middle here, this is a wind gauge. So it's showing winds coming from the northeast. Wind speeds over a 3-second average right around 5 miles per hour. So winds aren't too impressive just yet. Temperature's 22.5. That makes it feel like 16, 15 degrees outside. So it feels pretty chilly. The winds will be increasing throughout the night. Now come this way with me. And this is where we make up for the slack of the weather station. We can measure right here, right now with our very own yardstick just how much snow sink it into the ground. Right by 10, maybe 11 inches of snow right here in Freeport so far. And let's just go back one more time towards the back of the Weather Authority 1 truck. We're in Freeport. That's the 16 to 24 inch snowfall range. I would not be surprised if we get to 20 inches right here in Freeport. So this forecast is for you. The wind is still enough to blow that snow right in your face, makes it difficult to keep my eyes open. So we saw Dan McCarthy, and he has a lot of winds right there. Our winds will be picking up throughout the night. Now let's send it over to Portland with our correspondent, Alexa Meslowski. How's it looking by you in Portland, Alexa?
Hi, Adam. We are just off Commercial Street down in the Old Port, and we actually couldn't stand on the street. We couldn't park there because of the amount of snow built up along the sides of the road, and I can speak to that a little bit more. If you take a look at this gigantic snowbank in this parking lot, this is just from them plowing this one single lap. I spoke with Portland Public Works a little bit earlier today, and they said they have been planning for this storm all day long, making sure all of the trucks were prepared for a long shift ahead. Now, plow trucks have been out on the roads since 3 o'clock today. At first, just 28 units began plowing the main streets, but at 10:30, they had a total of 40 trucks out on the roads tonight to make sure that they could get those residential areas and side streets. They say the amount of snow coming down and the wind is adding a challenge to this cleanup. I spoke with Mark Spiller, who is the winter coordinator at Portland Public Works, and he says for those who are planning on driving tonight, think again.
Cars stuck tonight, but they should stay home and prepare for the storm. We're going to be pushing back the snow quite a bit, so get the shovels ready. In a couple of days, I guess it might be another 6+ inches, so sort of close to maybe 2015 when we dealt with that type of snow.
He also says those crews that are coming in and came in this evening are going to work until 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So help them out and stay off the roads as much as you possibly can and help yourself out so you can stay safe. We're live in Portland tonight. Alexa Meslowski, Fox 23 News. Back inside to you, Greg.
Yeah, good advice, Alexa, to be sure. The drivers on the turnpike, those who were out, quickly started slipping and sliding when the storm started rolling in. Maine State Police say there were a number of slide-offs because of that. Mostly folks hitting the guardrails or sliding off into the snowy grass area, but so fortunately nothing too serious to report just yet. Visibility did quickly plunge, though, as the storm started. The turnpike actually took to Twitter, warning drivers the speed limit again is reduced in these storms, as always, 45 miles an hour there, 40 on 295. Now, despite the conditions, some drivers were still venturing out.
Yeah, because we're going right into the storm now, so. But we'll just take it slow and go. We're going on main road, so we should be okay.
No, totally used to it. It's just terrible out. There's ice underneath all the snow, so it's really bad.
State police tell us they actually have extra crews out tonight as well. They would rather you stay off the roads, though, so you can be safe inside and not putting yourself at risk. Well, if you think you're going to try and fly out of the Portland Jetport anytime soon, think again. Let's go ahead and take a live look at the Jetport website right now, where almost every departure from this point forward, in fact, from earlier this evening forward, all canceled and into tomorrow morning. The same situation involving the arrivals, pretty much all the flights in and out of the Jetport from about 5 o'clock on tonight have been canceled. If you do plan to fly on Monday, do check ahead. Already disruptions for the morning. About the only mode of transportation that was virtually unaffected by this storm was train travel. The Downeaster passenger train between Boston and Portland running pretty much as normal today. In fact, by earlier tonight, it was about the only safe way to get to Boston. As for the bus lines, there are only a few buses that were scheduled to go out tonight. Those are only going northbound, and all the Metro buses are going to be closed tomorrow as well. We did talk to one young woman who just got back home here to Maine from Alaska. She'd been visiting her sister, she tells us. Rebecca Shapiro told us she's just ready to be safely home tonight.
Journey, talk about it a bit.
I started in Alaska and was visiting my sister, and I went from Alaska to Denver to Boston, and it took 3 hours getting here. So about 24 hours total.
So from Alaska to Denver to Portland, who's got the worst weather?
Right now we do. Yes, it's definitely a lot worse. It was an intense ride back.
Is it good to be back home?
Yes, I'm very tired though.
She is tired. Well, the Casco Bay ferry line was running as normal, pretty much as normal earlier today, but that could easily change by morning when they're expected to reopen. The winds are also expected to ramp up, possibly topping tropical storm force at times tomorrow morning. Let's go ahead and check back in with Fox 23's Brad Rogers. He's been moving around to a lot of places tonight for us. Brad, that includes checking out the ferries there on Casco Bay. You rode one of those ferries out to Peaks Island, I believe. What was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty nice, actually. Really smooth ride out here. I tell you, these captains who run that ferry, I think they could almost do it blindfolded. But really, the visibility was about the worst part of it. About a quarter of a mile away you had to be to see any sort of lights out there on the buoys and other ferries that are running out there. Of course, the ferry line closed about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, and they've had their last runs tonight. They will resume, though, again tomorrow morning. Now, we took the 7:15 ferry out to Peaks Island and back. The wind just about 15 miles an hour, really, and the seas, so the seas inside Casco Bay were pretty mild. It's when you get past those islands, though, that the seas certainly get a lot rougher. Not a lot of passengers on board tonight. Some of those were having a beer at a local pub in town, and we're heading back home out on Peaks Island. Now, for tomorrow, the ferry service is really up in the air. The wind is supposed to kick up tomorrow, which could bring ferry service to a standstill.
It's not too bad right now. It's forecast to get really bad tomorrow, so we'll take it while we can get it. It's blowing out of the east.
So tomorrow, what do you be looking at? Would you possibly have to shut down?
Yes, we probably will, because the wind's forecast to be steady over 30, and that's our limit.
It's actually not bad. It could be a lot worse. If ferry trip tomorrow may be a different story.
Oh, how come?
Once the winds get to over 30 miles an hour, then the ferry could stop. And then you could actually get trapped on the island.
Yeah, there probably will be a few people trapped out on the island, at least in the middle part of the day. Captain John Tracy thinks that they will get some runs in early in the morning, may have to stop in the middle of the day when he thinks the winds will be the strongest, and then probably resume service tomorrow night. But again, this is all something to watch for tomorrow night, and that 30-mile-an-hour wind is really what they'll be looking for. That's the mark where they've got to shut down. Yeah. We are live in downtown Portland. Brad Rogers, Fox 23 News. Go ahead.
It's been a long night already, Brad. I was going to say that 30-mile-an-hour mark looks to be in jeopardy. We'll keep tracking that. As we've been saying, the storm is well underway right now. You're watching an extended edition of Fox 23 News at 10. And Charlie, we still have a lot more snow to get through tonight and tomorrow.
We do, Greg. I'm looking at some brand new snowfall totals coming in from CBS 13 and Fox 23 weather watchers. We'll take a look at a few of those, of course. We'll let you know how much more snow to expect, and we'll talk a little bit more about the wind heading our way for Monday. It's all in the forecast next.
And we are getting viewer pictures in tonight. I've been getting some great ones as well. By the way, that kid is holding an icicle, a giant icicle. That's one of the more impressive photos we've seen. Again, continue to share your photos of the storm with us, of course, if you can safely do so. You're watching an extended edition of Fox 23 News at 10.
Now, your Fox 23 Weather Authority forecast with Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're getting some new Weather Watcher snowfall totals in so far anyway. This is piling up pretty quickly, and it's tough to stay on top of it here because snowfall rates are 1-2 inches per hour for a lot of towns. We even saw a brief period about 2-3 hours ago of snowfall rates about 2 or 3 inches per hour. And it'll probably ramp up again through the overnight. So far, Lewis and Auburn area, we've got a report of about 5 inches here. North Sebago, we're up to about 7 inches there as well. As we extend back through Berwick, 8 inches, a lot of 8s from Bath over to Dayton, 7 inches there, and also Lisbon coming in with about 5 inches. A few more for you. Bridgeton's up to 8.5 inches now. Sanford has 8.5 inches of snow. Got a report of 8 in Naples, Old Orchard Beach. Yarmouth has 6. Westport Island about 6.5, and Woolwich about 7 inches there. Lisbon Falls, yes, we just saw right there about 5 inches, and Biddeford 7.5. Dayton again close to about 7 inches of snow, and I would imagine, even some of those being a half hour old, you might have another inch of snow on top of that right now. Here's your Doppler HD. It's a solid band of snow for the entire area. We've had quarter-mile visibility, meaning heavy snowfall, in Portland now for 7 hours. So it's been that way for quite some time. It's going to stay that way through the overnight hours tonight. Notice some intense bands of the blue right there. Those indicate the heaviest bands of snow. And that's going to continue. So a solid 16 to 24 inches. Most towns get 1 to 2 feet of snow. Now the wind really isn't going to kick in until tomorrow morning. 4 to 7 a.m. You'll start to feel that wind picking up. And it's windy all day long tomorrow. While it's snowing, that's going to create blizzard conditions or near blizzard conditions. It's going to be close. You need the heavy snow and the wind sustained or gusting to 35 miles per hour or greater, and that should produce some power outages. So our storm is strengthening rapidly just east of Cape Cod tonight. The storm is situated right out in here, and as it continues to strengthen, it continues to pull down a stiff northerly wind. That's going to do a few things. It's actually going to produce some very strong gusty winds and producing potential for power outages, but it's also going to keep the cold air in place. So even areas that have experienced some rain, like let's see, York, Cape Elizabeth, we've had some reports of rain. Even over towards Biddeford Pool, some rain mixing in. With that north wind really picking up, that's going to wrap in the colder air. So any leftover low 30s, that's going to be coming to an end shortly. That's about midnight tonight, and in fact, those temperatures are probably a little bit too warm. But there have been some low 30s down towards Cape Elizabeth. Basically, there's been a little coastal front that's set up east of the coastal front. There have been some areas, immediate coastline only, above freezing. Most areas are below freezing though. 6 a.m. Look at those shades of blue. Yeah, that's cold. That's a cold, heavy snowfall here. It's going to be coming down at a great clip here during the early morning hours tomorrow. The wind is picking up during that time frame as well, so it's going to be something to see here. A significant blowing and drifting is expected. Air temperatures tomorrow continue to fall through the low to mid 20s. Notice the back edge moving through during the afternoon, so the back edge will start to move through at some point, probably early to mid-afternoon. And I don't think it's going to be one of those situations where the snow just comes to an end, the skies clear out. It's going to be a slow progression. We're going to go from heavy snow to light snow, and eventually it will slowly stop here. So it might be spitting snow for a good chunk of the afternoon. Winds gusting, 20, 25 early tonight. We can handle that, right? Let's go to about 7 a.m. Things start to change now, right? With winds gusting over 30 miles per hour. So we're gusting 30 to 40 at about 7 o'clock in the morning, while it's still snowing at a pretty good clip. Now, 11 a.m., the wind is really cranking here with gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour. There might be some spots that gust over 50 miles per hour. That's why the Weather Service has issued that blizzard warning, from mid-coast to down east Maine. We'll have to watch to see when the back edge of the snow moves out, because if we're still looking at solid bands of snow at 11 a.m., I would imagine the Weather Service would have to extend blizzard warnings over southern Maine. And the reason they didn't do that is because the snow is expected to be a little bit lighter, or not quite as heavy as what we have out there tonight. It's still going to be snowing, but we might just not have that visibility down to about a quarter mile. Let's remember, for blizzard conditions, you need not only the heavy snow, but you need the wind to happen at the same time. So there we go. Tomorrow we'll see the snow heaviest during the morning. It's going to be windy all day long though. On Tuesday we'll have some sun. We'll be able to dig out. Looks nice that day, low 30s. And another storm arrives on Wednesday, and that one there's a lot of question marks with, but I'll tell you, it does look a little bit warmer than this one. So I think we're going to start with rain, change to snow. And there is the potential for more significant snowfall accumulations, and if we were to see that, I think it'll be Wednesday night. And we'll probably end with a period of light snow on Thursday. So a lot of question marks with that one still, so keep that in the back burner But I don't think it's going to be as powerful as the one that we have out there tonight. And things should start to quiet down a bit around here late week and into the weekend. It's been a heck of a stretch.
Yeah, it has. Since about Tuesday of last week. It's been one after another.
This is the fifth storm. So it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and the fifth one would be Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday if we were to get that.
Enough already.
Yeah, it's been. I don't think I've ever seen that many storms.
No, it's been a long time anyway. Hey, speaking of all this, there's no better time than right now to get this. The WGME weather app gives you weather alerts right on your phone. It also lets you track the storm right down to your neighborhood using our interactive radar, and it's free, easy to find. Just search WGME WX in your app store. And a reminder, you can get that information on our website along with the latest school closings, cancellations, parking bans. Here's a live look at that right now. A lot of them tonight, so make sure you head to fox23maine.com so you don't get left out in the cold tomorrow morning. This is a special extended edition of Fox 23 News at 10. We'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 23 News at 10.
Two suspects were shot dead by police after authorities say one of them robbed and tied up a man for hours, then ended up ramming a state police cruiser in that man's stolen truck. Police say 25-year-old Kadar Bailey of Gardner robbed and then tied up 57-year-old Dickie Brown of Vassalboro for several hours Friday night before Bailey and 18-year-old Ambrosia Fager of Oakland were shot by police as they fled in Brown's stolen truck. Bailey died on the scene while Fager died at the hospital. The man who was robbed is a well-known member of the Vassalboro community and a member of the Maine Golf Hall of Fame. I spoke with his son, Taylor Brown, seen in this photo on the right with his father on the left. He says his father is receiving a really outpouring of support right now after an ordeal in which he thought he might die.
You know, my dad just didn't know what to think, what was going to happen. He just was trying to do whatever the guy wanted so that he wouldn't kill him. He was really afraid that he was going to shoot him. We just keep thinking, that it just proves that, you just never know what's going to happen, and, you just got to appreciate life more. That's the message we're taking away from it.
Our thoughts certainly with the Brown family tonight. Meantime, the three officers involved in Friday night's event are on paid administrative leave while the Attorney General's office investigates. That is standard procedure following a police-involved shooting in Maine. An ashtray and a trash can ignite, touching off a fire that forced 5 people out of their home. The Waterville Fire Department says that fire at this house started when a resident on the second floor emptied an ashtray into a plastic trash can. 4 people were inside at the time. Everybody made it out safely. Officials say that second floor is the most severely damaged. They're also offering a warning tonight, reminding smokers to wet down their cigarette ashes before they throw them out. 3 people are dead after plunging into the icy Lake Winnipesaukee in 2 separate accidents, both happening Saturday. In Alton, a 15-year-old boy and his father crashed through thin ice on their snowmobiles. They were taking part in an annual ice fishing derby there. The father made it out safely, although he was treated for hypothermia. The son was missing all day Saturday. Rescuers finally pulled his body from the lake this morning. And in Moulton Borough, 2 Massachusetts men also died after driving their snowmobiles onto open water. A third person was with them. He managed to get back to shore. Witnesses say some sections look like ice. That is until you're right on top of them.
Yesterday it was all water. The whole thing was water. And it's not even ice. It's just slush with snow on top.
Authorities are urging everybody to check conditions and to use caution before they are venturing out. Again, stay safe, everybody. And we'll be right back with much more right after this.
Now, Fox 23 News is on your side at 10.
You are watching a special extended edition of Fox 23 News at 10, a storm edition as we continue to track this severe weather tonight, which again is only ramping up. This is a live look at our Lewiston Skycam right now. As you can see, the snow really coming down heavily there. It's been pretty much the same scene throughout our region here tonight. I want to continue to give you updates as to what's happening. Another live look at our Portland Skycam. Similar, but if anything, maybe even a little bit more snow. It appears in Portland, certainly a lot of white on the ground there, and boy, there's going to be more of that between now and morning. We continue to keep you updated on this storm. Let's go ahead and check in with Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. Charlie, you've been tracking these snow bands pretty much all afternoon and into the evening so far. This is not letting up anytime soon.
No, in fact, if anything, it's going to get a little bit heavier, Greg. We've had some pretty impressive bands of snow move through, and in the Portland area, in fact, we had close to about 7 inches of snow reported about an hour ago. Our weather watcher in Lewiston, as we just saw from that live video there, they had about 5 inches. 5 inches exactly, in fact, about an hour ago. So this continues to ramp up tonight. We've had some impressive bands indicated by the darker shades of blue. That indicates heavier snowfall. And the wind really hasn't been an issue yet. The wind will become an issue tomorrow, so the wind isn't expected to pick up until tomorrow morning. But it's a heavy snowfall for the entire region, not only southern Maine, central Maine, mid-coast Maine, that one right there up to northern Androscoggin County, southern Franklin County from Jay to Livermore, also up into Route 2 area, down to Route 302 from the Conway area. We're seeing some moderate to heavy bands there. It's a little bit lighter over western York County right now, so it's more of a moderate snowfall. And we've had reports of rain, actually rain down in York, and also rain in Cape Elizabeth. So we saw Dan McCarthy earlier. I think there was a little bit of rain mixing in there as well. He says it was a heavier, wetter consistency there. But that wind picks up tomorrow. The National Weather Service has this blizzard warning going from mid-coast down east for the combination of the heavy snow and the wind, and that's primarily tomorrow morning. Winter storm warnings for everyone else. And outside of the warning area, outside of the blizzard warning area, even in the winter storm warning area, we'll have either near blizzard conditions, or we might even have blizzard conditions for a few hours tomorrow morning. In addition to that, we have a coastal flood advisory for the high tide tonight, right around midnight. It's actually 12:25. So it goes into effect at midnight and extends until 3 a.m. What can we expect there? Well, minor splashover, minor flooding, and also beach erosion. So we're going to continue to watch that as well in the coming hour or two with that coastal flood advisory. Snowfall totals, I think we're a solid 1 to 2 feet. In fact, a lot of towns will probably be on the upper end of that. So 16 to 24 in the areas in white. That's all of southern and central Maine. That extends down east. And yeah, it looks like we're seeing about 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts during the morning tomorrow. So our strongest winds will be during the morning. Blizzard conditions are likely for a lot of towns, especially mid-coast down east during the morning through midday or so. And power outages, we'll be monitoring that very closely as the winds pick up during the daylight hours tomorrow. But for more on conditions out on the roads right now, on what's happening outside right now, let's send it out right now to, actually send it over to Greg, who will be talking about what's happening with Adam, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's a busy night, Charlie, to be sure. Again, we are tracking the storm with our Weather Authority 1, sponsored by O'Connor Chevrolet, and of course, a lot more coverage tonight. I want to give our viewers a heads up. Obviously, you're watching an extended edition right now of Fox 23 News at 10. At a certain point, very, very soon, we're going to welcome in our viewers on CBS 13 as well, who've been watching the Grammys. That's going to be coming to us very soon. We're going to try to make that as smooth as possible. But as you can appreciate, again, this is live television, and we're trying to welcome in our viewers from CBS 13 as well. And just trying to get you the most up-to-date information that we can. In the meantime, again, we continue to track this storm as we look out live right now. When I believe our Portland Skycam, as you can see, there's just a wave of plow trucks on those roads right now. That continues. Again, that's going to be the scene all night long, and that really needs to be the only people who are on the roads tonight. Is emergency crews, plow trucks, those sorts of folks. Please, folks, I imagine you're all, if you're watching us right now, planning to stay indoors. That's great advice. Make sure you stay with that right now. Also, we want to point this out. The storm of shoppers, we were tracking that throughout the evening as well. Folks were out on the roads earlier trying to do that. But again, the advice right now, everything's pretty much closed right now anyway, folks. So please stay off the roads and do that, continue throughout the evening. The next time you hear my voice, we will be simulcasting on CBS 13 News at 11. Thanks for watching us.